Good morning. This is the mayor's budget hearing with the Davidson County General Sessions Court. As some background for this and every budget hearing, we have had great revenue increases over the last couple of years, more than $200 million in revenue increases. That has allowed us to expand our services in most departments and make some improvements across the board. This year, we're not anticipating quite as much of a revenue increase. We will have a revenue increase, but it won't be quite as big because of a decline in part of property tax revenues through a high number of successful reappraisal appeals. Nevertheless, we believe we'll stay within the current tax rate of $3.15.5 and with a status quo budget, and we'll be able to provide all the services that we've been providing to the city, even with the reduced increase in revenues this year. I'm joined this morning by the Finance Director, Ms. Talia Lomax O'Neill, and the city's Chief Strategy Officer, Brian Kelsey. Additionally, we've been joined by Council Lady Taneka Vercher, the city's City Council's Budget and Finance Chair. Is that right? That's who you are, isn't it? I think so. I think so. I need more coffee already. Judge, if you would introduce yourself and those who are with you and give us a brief overview, and we'll probably have some questions at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Mike Mondelli. I'm here as a representative of the General Sessions Court. I have with me Judge Gail Robinson to my right. He's one of our domestic violence judges. I have our court administrator to my left, Warner Hassel. I have in the back Mr. John Slate, who is the director of our traffic school, and Gina Fox, who is Mr. Hassel's assistant. In keeping with your schedule and your protocol, I would like to talk about what we have done over the last 3 years and how we can fit into your budget requests. Briefly, as you know, General Sessions Court is the limited jurisdiction court here in Davidson County that hears criminal cases and civil cases. It's limited in its jurisdiction for civil up to $25,000. It does all of the misdemeanor cases, which means we cannot put you in jail for any more than 11 months and 29 days per offense. We hear preliminary hearings in all the felonies. We don't do divorces, we don't do jury cases, but we do domestic violence. We do all orders of protection. We do all the traffic tickets, Metro police officer traffic tickets, state trooper traffic tickets, and we also handle the recovery court. Judge Robinson does the recovery court. Judge Melissa Blackburn does our veterans court and mental health court, and we have those specialty courts on top of everything else that we do. We handle over 300,000 litigants a year in all those situations. We have 133 employees, and we come to you today with our budget requests that mainly concern our specialty, our domestic violence. Well, not so much domestic violence, but our magistrates court, which does with pretrial release. We are looking at enhancements to our forensic evaluations, and for those which you might call exceptions to your status quo budget, I'm going to have Mr. Hassel address those, and Judge Robinson can address any other questions you might have. But I think that our requests come under the exceptions of projects that are either ongoing or need to be implemented or might be forced upon us by another higher authority. So with that, I'll let Mr. Hassel.
Yes, one of the exceptions to the guidelines on budget submittal that we would like to submit is the expansion of the power shift schedule for the magistrate court or judicial commissioners. It is to help implement the findings of the comprehensive study that included multiple stakeholders that I believe our public defender had referenced earlier. The workload of the judicial commissioners, magistrates, will be significantly increased concerning indigency determination and the different steps, additional steps concerning bond determination and eligibility for pretrial release. Currently, we have a power shift schedule already that we implemented a few years ago after we had a study of our night court system. We are currently have that power shift 3 days a week only for 12 hours each day. So 36 hours a week we have duplicate coverage. Otherwise, there's only one commissioner per shift per day over a 7-day week. We're proposing to have power shift schedule to go to 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. And so the net cost of that would be $225,000 in additional costs. That's roughly 2/3 of the cost, but we'll be able to absorb 1/3, so we would be asking for $225,000. That is for salary and benefits. Currently, we're not paying benefits because just 18 hours a day, those folks are not qualifying for benefits. But it would involve a power shift schedule of 7 days a week. It's a 5-hour shift, 3 shifts per day. So there's only 9 hours a day for each of the 7 days that we would not have duplicate coverage.
What hours of the day would that be?
The hours we would not have coverage, 2 a.m. in the morning to 11 a.m. Otherwise, we would have somebody there, duplicate coverage.
Okay.
Is there anything else? I have a different list.
Yes. I think in addition to the submittal that met the guidelines, we have a request for $36,900 that's before you for funding the new contract with the National Safety Council for our traffic school. We've had a 30-year relationship with the National Safety Council, a recognized nationwide traffic safety program, and the additional cost for that 5-year contract would be roughly a little over $36,000 a year.
And forensic mental health.
The forensic mental health forensic evaluation, we're asking for $49,000. That's a state. The state changed the law due to their budget situation back in 2009 or 2010 that all misdemeanor forensic evaluations would be responsibility of local government. So they shifted that responsibility to local government. We've seen a significant increase. It's almost doubled, close to triple in the last 2 years of where defense attorneys have requested these evaluations, and it's inpatient. The contract allows for outpatient, but at $400 a day, that's quite expensive. So
I've got a quick one. Tell you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Got lots of questions.
I don't know much about the National Safety Council contract. What's driving the increase? Is it just an increase in what they're charging, or is it a volume issue? Or
it's principally they, even though they had an escalator clause in the prior contract, they kept the rates for both the online traffic school as well as the resource materials for the live classes. They kept that cost the same for the past 5 years, the unit cost. So I'd say some of that is probably catch up.
Okay.
To the council, right?
Yes, because the volume
New
of
contract.
yes.
Okay. I want to talk to you about revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
There's a reduction here.
Right.
Can you tell us what's going on?
Yes. Over the last few years, there's been an increase in the number of under advisement pleas and agreed orders that have come about that, as a result, has impacted our traffic school enrollment as well as the number of people on probation. And these are...
There's a number of people who can't afford to go to traffic school, and they file affidavits of indigency and ask us to waive the fees to these schools. So that's part of it. It's sort of like real property tax appeals. People come into us and they present us with their affidavits, and they cannot truly afford to go to the traffic school.
The two numbers we see here are driver's license reinstatement and probation fees.
Yeah, the driver's license reinstatement class, in those instances, the under advisement pleas and agreed orders also have taken place where someone is doing community service work in lieu of being directed to the traffic school, and so that has had an impact on our traffic school.
Okay.
And so this year's budgeted number is, are we on track to make this year's budgeted number on revenue, or are we going to come in below that?
It'll be a little lower. Sometimes we get a bump in the spring, so it's hard to say exactly.
Okay.
Okay. I just have one follow-up question about these power shifts, because I just
Yes.
want to know more about that. How does that fit into the improvement that you got in 17 for the night court? You've got some additional resources.
Right. We had.
Then what did we do with that piece of it, and then what are we adding to?
What we're doing, what we did with the part that we got earlier is we implemented the current power shift schedule of 3 days a week, 12 hours each day. Then it had some staff support in there for 2 staff support people to help cover at least 2 of the 3 shifts. However, with the temporary quarters that night court has in the double wide trailer, it's a real challenge just to have 2 commissioners in there. To put a third person in there, there's just not enough room. So one of those 2 staff support is working out of my office, and he rotates in and out of my office to on site and provides staff support. He helps manage the schedule, the power shift schedule, as well as the full-time schedule. So when they...
What's the benefit of having 2 magistrates during that time frame?
Principally, because of the pretrial schedule, a pretrial study, there's going to be a responsibility of indigency determination, from what I understand.
It's going to increase the process, the arrest process. Right now, we have one commissioner who sits down there, and this is a rough comparison, but it's sort of like the guy that runs the drive-through window at McDonald's. He's got people calling in on his fax machines, sending in emergency committals by fax. He's got police officers bringing in people they've arrested. He has 2 or 3, how many? 2 mobile booking units?
2 mobile bookings.
2 mobile bookings out in the field phoning in arrests. This is constant all day long. And we have police officers coming in. They need to get in and get out. Now, on top of that, we're adding this pretrial release program, and we're going to be looking at these individuals who cannot afford to make bonds. So we have to take into consideration their financial condition. So that's going to add to the time in the arrest process. So we figure if we have another night court commissioner in there, he can take up that slack, or she can take up that slack, and also help with his drive-through, these mobile bookings, these people that the police arrest on the street and bring them in, domestic violence call-ins and emergency committals.
So it seems, intuitively, it seems to me that if you have 2 commissioners down there, that you could save. Police officers are billing; they're earning money for every minute they sit there waiting for something to happen, right?
Correct.
So you could either get them back on the street or get them off the clock entirely if they could move more quickly through there. It seems to me like it's something that could be a data-driven decision. So if we had some sort of better idea about, I mean, it could be that $225,000 expenditure might save us $480,000 in some other way. So I guess I would say it seems intuitively to make sense, but I'd like to see some sort of data that we can measure, just to make sure that it's a good expenditure.
Well,
Mayor, some data that we can provide your office that we had Donna Blackburn's group, the Criminal Justice Planning Group, develop is in the current power shift, like I said, it's 12 hours a day. Of that 12 hours, the second shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., is principally helped. So running numbers over about 8 months of 2017, it's shown that as a result of having that power shift person there, the full-timers' workload just on criminal warrants, it doesn't include the other things of emergency committals and mobile booking and everything, but the actual criminal warrants being issued was reduced by 53% over that period of time. Mm-hmm. So that freed them up to do the other things that were really needed. So,
well, if y'all could circle back with Mr. Kelsey and get some.
Well, and I'd like to know where this sits in terms of your priorities of all the requests that have been listed. Okay. Is this your number one kind of thing that you'd like to be considered this year in the context of the other things?
Thank y'all very much for coming in. We greatly appreciate your service to the city, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.